Baby doll pumpkins and cutie pies. We're going to do an update to see what do we need for the rest of October and what is happening now that is different from the past. Well, so far, nothing's actually been happening differently. It's all been going to plan so far. We are still looking at the magical Ponzi fractal. We are due to start going up like really soon, like this whole month of October just to start going up. It's going to be fantastic to see. Now, the chart I have here is ETH BTC. Ethereum traditionally usually does pour in the fourth quarter of the year, October, November, December. We are there right now. So the ETH BTC ratio, it is not doing much on a 2-year time frame, but the time frame I have here is a 5-minute chart. It's very, very naughty. It's a little soy drinker 5-minute chart. Just want to see and show what's been going on. Okay, it's because of Bitcoin's strength. Now, why does Ethereum lag in the fourth quarter of the year? Honestly, it doesn't really matter. It's just part of the seasonality. Maybe everyone gets a kick up the boom and they start pumping it in January and February. But what are we actually waiting for? Well, the US dollar, Dicky boy. This is the Dixie chart on the 4-hour. As you can see, it's just done this most monstrous run upwards. We need the US dollar to stop being naughty. We need it to turn downwards. US jobs will come out this Friday, and it's going to be very important. Why? Because if the unemployment rate, the jobless rate, if it starts to tick up, then we're going to see more pressure downwards on the US dollar. Why? If unemployment rate ticks up, they're going to start pricing in more rate cuts somewhere along the yield curve. Now, interesting stat I've shared with you many times, and that is when the unemployment rate has gone up by 0.5% off the low and it's spiked up, the Fed has cut every single time in the past 70 years. Isn't that wild? 100% of the time, as soon as the unemployment rate spikes that much, the Fed goes, uh-oh, we've started the move. All right, now we've got to start doing the move on. Make sure you like, subscribe, belly button, and all friends. I appreciate every single one of you. Shock that algorithm. That US dollar has been a bit of a poopy. And we're looking at it right now on the weekly. This is like 12 green weekly candles. Now, you don't need to actually look at the absolute size of the move. What I've found is, even if there's a big push for the US dollar, if it just has one red candle, that red candle of the US dollar can translate to a big thrust upwards in crypto. So the absolute value of the move is not what matters. It's just the color of the candle. And now we have some PulseChain talk. I'd like to ask you, so PulseChain, Pulse is real DeFi. It is freedom of speech. It's currently about 56% below day one sacrifice. So pretty much everybody's offside. PulseChain, the whole ecosystem needs PLS to rise up. Without it, we're not going anywhere. We need it to actually pump because it's the spear of the ecosystem, or the spear, depending on where you're from. And we don't know if this is doing a rounded bottom that's going to be exaggerated, because man, that'll be really sucky. Why? Because as the further we get into 2024, that's when people realize, oh my gosh, it's been 3 years of sacrificing my money and I'm actually still down. So that will be psychologically traumatic if that happens. But we don't know how long it's going to happen. It's still possible. Just look, I keep getting asked a lot, have we bottomed? On a weekly chart, look, as much as I want to say, I hope we bottomed or it's the bottom zone, it is still possible where we try to rally up, we capitulate again, and then we go up. It is still possible. It's also possible where we come back to day one sack, and somewhere in 2024, there's a bit of a scare where we drop back down, and then we go back up as well. So this is a long time to weed out. This is like, it would be very, very punishing. But this is not, this is something that has happened in the past for Cardano, many other altcoins, pretty much every single altcoin from the previous bear market. That's the patterns that they did. So you just have to be ready for anything. Don't forget, because of the ratios, PulseX and HEX will move alongside Pulse because of the liquidity bonding. And you don't even need the real liquidity bonding. There is a psychological bonding of the coins and spiritual. Everybody knows that they're in part of the same community. Everyone's there for Richard Hart, real DeFi, freedom of speech, freedom of movement. So they are linked together. If any of them disconnect, what you might see is, like, if you're comparing two of the coins together, either one goes maybe like plus 2x higher, or minus 50% worse. That's a rough estimate in the range. So, you know, for example, like if you might say, oh, okay, if Pulse is 5x higher from here, you want to say, okay, what did Hex do? Well, Hex could have gone 10x or it could have gone 2.5x. So that's the type of range you're looking for. But it's very unlikely we'll see Pulse do 5x and Hex do, say, 50x. We won't have that much of a disconnect. So that is another interesting way to look at it. And I put this very interesting, sexy and juicy poll up. What price do you think PulseX will be in the next 6 months? So that's roughly when the Bitcoin halving will be, which is around April 2024. Now, we are currently minus 90% below day one SAC. So I'm going to have PulseX here. This is where we are. And I've made some markers here for you. So we are minus 90% below. Like I said, friends, I really want this to bottom out. Of course, you want your bags to go up, but you just don't know with these, man. They can always come and screw around and make you wait a long time. I know, and it's frustrating because you're like, wait a minute, have I not waited enough time yet? Like, it's been 2 years now and we've been going down only. I know, I don't make the rules here. It's just when the market's ready to clear, it's ready to clear. I apologize, but there's nothing we can do to control it. So when it comes to this situation, trying to think about PulseX doing a 10x from here, it's quite a big move. Even doesn't feel like it because we were not even able to stay up there for like longer than what, 1 day, around day one SAC. We got there and then that was it. We just came all the way back down. It feels like if there was an equilibrium value, it would be here, which is about minus 65 to minus 70% below day one SAC, that's still shocking as well to think that's where fair value is. Let's just show how much of an unfortunate situation it is. So from the poll, I'm going to refresh it again just as people are updating it. There's different options here. Most people, of course, look, a lot of the people, day one SAC or above. So, I mean, the crowd's usually wrong when it comes to these. So most people believe will actually be day one SAC and above in April. So around Bitcoin halving next year. It's going to be interesting to see where we actually go. The lowest prediction is only minus 25%. So it's about 7 or 8x from here. But really, we are just guessing. So Mr. Westcott Crypto, he was the one, he made this interesting post. I wanted to show everybody what it means. He basically has a target of PulseX of 3 cents, 0.03. But before you look at any of these targets, it's important to think about what world does that show? So I will never say something can or it can't go somewhere. I don't talk in absolutes in markets. But if someone tells me, okay, we're going to get a certain price target, well, I want to explore what does that look like. For example, if you were to tell me, okay, Bitcoin flips gold, Bitcoin's better than gold, I'll say, okay, if Bitcoin is better than gold, well, that means Bitcoin reaches $550,000, which is right above here. Yeah, so that would be Bitcoin flipping gold. So it's not just enough to say to me, okay, it's better. Okay, I want to know, what does this world look like? Okay, that means there is more money stored in Bitcoin than gold across the whole world. I'm not saying it can happen or it can't happen. It's just something to think about if you're trying to describe that world. So PulseX hitting 3 cents. If you do the maths on that, it's a 2,600x away from today. And if you do the maths, it would give a total hex of $28. That's total. So, it could be $14 each. It could be $21 for P hex and $7 for E hex. So that's the total number. And if you even see the marking here, so 0.03 is at the top. But if you go down, I have the real chart here. If you go down to 0.07 here, why did I mark this? It's because I knew Ricardo Corazon was doing a bit of the dodgy type of price quotes from the very, very opening. And I wanted to see where exactly 1000x was from the very, very bottom. And it lands here. So it's 0.007. So that's about a quarter of that price. Now, obviously, as everyone thinks about it, you really got to know what that world means to get there. So you see how there's liquidity of 23 million here? I did 23 million by 2,600x, and you have 1,000 million, but $59 billion in liquidity. Now, why is this important to note? It's because the total stable coin in crypto right now is only 100 billion. The total stable coins. So for you to tell me that you have a target of one coin getting to this number, you're basically telling me it's taken over crypto. Okay, so once again, I'm not saying it can or it can't happen. I'm not here to say that. I'm just telling you that's what the world looks like. So you don't just get a world where people just infinitely vertical line buy your coin up, you know? It needs to go in places, establish itself, and then continue up. So that's the type of liquidity it's going to need on the bids to sustain at price if you believe it gets there. Also had a lovely post from Mr. Gary, our favorite Gary. He asked me, what do you see as the strongest reasons to choose PulseX rather than any other PRC20 DEX? So the other exchange coins. All right. Now, he also asks, how do you value the ideas of utility of the token versus the meme of it? So I'm going to share with you some juicy information, friends. This is why highest value content in crypto. Firstly, great post by Mr. Gary. We love Gary. There is an enormous first mover advantage, the home team advantage with PulseX. Okay, we can use other examples too. So this was the same advantage as Uniswap on Ethereum, PancakeSwap, which is on BNB chain. Okay, these advantages are huge. All right, now PulseX would naturally have the most liquidity and be home to the biggest slice of volume and activity. That's just how it goes, right? It's all about the network effects, friends. Just think about it. Does Bitcoin have the best tech? No. Why is it valued so much? Because it was first. That's it. The meme of being first, the genesis. So look at this. In theory, you could steal all the attention from PulseX. You could. But good luck trying that. Look how hard it was for anybody to take the thunder away from Uniswap. It was impossible, even with incentives. SushiSwap forked Uni. They gave their coin out. It started to vampire liquidity. And then after the incentives were done, everybody just came back. It's fascinating to see how this works, and we use these as examples. Okay, now, PulseX has good buy and burn pressure. It does happen, but, you know, there's a bit of caveats to it. So the buy and burn pressure is there. It's good for long-term appreciation. However, it doesn't win in a vacuum. So what does that mean just by itself? It's not like, just have a word, okay, buy and burn, you know. You need a lot of volume and trading activity. That's what we need. So it's leverage. It really is leverage. So for example, why was this even such a good idea? It's because Binance Chain, they are rotating. BNB coin has allegedly profits rotated from Binance Exchange's fees and profits. So that's a good example to show us what is possible. Remember, owning PulseX is owning the casino. There is a price for everything. So yeah, obviously, friends, I sacrificed for PulseX as well. I wanted to go up more than anybody else. But look, there's a time to be bullish, time to be bearish. I think it's been undervalued the whole time, but I just noticed there's been a pickup in the abuse of it. Now. Look, you can't think like that, man. Well, you can. You're free to think like that. The time to abuse PulseX was when he did the sacrifice in December 2021. Now that it's down 90%, that's not the time to be thinking about it. It's now the time to think about, okay, if this turns around, if volume does pick up, if Richard returns, if all these things happen, is there a big pickup in volume, more buy and burn pressure, things go up? That's how you're supposed to be thinking. You can think about the positive upside of speculation and the perception of value we'll have of everybody in the ecosystem as everything continues to pick up in crypto and the bull market participates. So that's what you're meant to do. You're meant to buy in the depression. So you want reasons to be long and in depression. Now, we're already long. If you have any spare bullets, obviously I'd keep adding. And if we want, we can just finish this off with the ratio to see. Now, the ratio is still intact. Let's put on a weekly chart. The ratio is still intact. There's nothing like too extraordinary about it. It's just sitting around this range. We're going to need it to round off, but it's basically pretty much fair to me. And yeah, I want you to think about What's your ultimate targets for that? A lot of people have very big targets, like 100x from here. I hope we get that. But before we get that, we're going to have to see where we are by that Bitcoin halving price around in April 2024. Tell mum and dad you love and appreciate them, friends. Make sure you like, subscribe, belly button. I will catch you in the next one.